Roped was released in 2020, and in this movie, a cowboy in a traveling rodeo falls in love with a councilman's daughter. So it is still technically Thanksgiving weekend, so I've been having a lot of free time recently, and I was looking on Netflix and I saw this movie, and here I am because I need to talk about this movie. So how this movie starts is that we are introduced to the calf roping world, and we are also introduced to our main character, Colton Burtonshaw. And Colton in this movie is like a rising star in the calf roping world, and one day the rodeo stops by a town called Potter Creek, and Potter Creek is such an interesting place because the slogan for the town is Potter Creek, a good place to live, which is probably the most passive-aggressive slogan I've ever seen in my life. So when Colton goes there, he meets everybody in town, and of course he meets his love interest, Tracy, and then we go from there. So let me start off with my positives real quick. I love the chemistry between the two leads, Colton and Tracy. What is also really interesting is that the two main leads for this movie actually fell in love while filming this movie, and they were actually married in real life, and that is without a doubt the cutest thing I have ever heard, and it makes this movie a lot more enjoyable. And that's another thing. I'm a sucker for cheesy movies. Romance is actually one of my favorite genres of film. So, when you bring the corniness and the cheesiness, I can't help but smile. That about does it for the positives, and let me get to my negatives right here. What am I supposed to hate in this movie? So look, we're introduced to the calf roping world, and they decide to do their next tour at Potter Creek. However, the entire town wants to boycott this event. This is all led by the main bad guy of this movie, the councilman. And he says that, hey, calf roping, it's animal abuse. Hey, by the way, my family is vegetarian, so we're against killing animals. I don't get it. What am I supposed to hate here? Am I supposed to hate that he's a vegetarian? Am I supposed to hate that he's against animal abuse? Like, whatever it is, it's really stupid. Also, if this plot sounds a little bit familiar to you, well, it should, because this movie is practically Footloose except with cowboys. Like, seriously, I could not believe how much this follows the movie Footloose. For example, Tracy at the beginning of the movie is dating like this generic jerk named Dylan, who by the way goes by Dill in this movie, and let me just say, ew. So she's dating Dylan in this movie, and she doesn't like being in this relationship. And by the way, Dylan, he just really knows how to woo the ladies.
Come on, babe. Gotta get some tomatoes for my mom.
God, take me now, Dylan. Another example of them copying Footloose is that, look, Colton and Dylan obviously do not get along. So Dylan shows up with like his big truck. He's like, hey, look at my truck. Isn't it cool? It's the fastest ride in town, huh? And Colton's like, all right, well, let's put it to the test. Let's race at 3 p.m. Alright, whatever. So we cut to the scene where they're racing, and the entire town is there for some reason, and Dylan shows up in his truck, and guess what Colton brings?
Oh, you're looking at him. Trigger, I'd like you to meet Dylan. Dylan, this is Trigger.
What is this?
This is your competition. 1 horsepower. That's all I need.
Yep, a horse. Of course he brings a horse, because cowboy? Another negative for me is that the acting is just not the best. There were multiple scenes where I looked, I was like, man, they should have just done another shoot or something. Like, give the actor something to work with here. It just didn't work for me. Oh, by the way, whoever wrote Hank's dialogue in this movie, I mean this in the nicest way possible. I don't like you.
What did the mama buffalo say to the baby buffalo as he went off to school?
I don't know what.
Bye, son. Poop is weakness leaving the body.
However, I need to talk about my favorite scene in this whole movie. Spoiler alert if you think about watching this movie. So Tracy is the councilman's daughter, we all know that. So she goes with her best friend to the cafe, and that's when they order their food. But Tracy decides to order a cheeseburger, and I kind of touched on this earlier. Their family they're all vegetarian, so when she orders it, this happens.
Hey, darling.
What am I supposed to hate in this movie? Because he's vegetarian, am I supposed to be like, oh, come on, Dad, let her eat a cheeseburger? Like, I'm so confused on what this movie, it's kind of forcing me to hate people who are vegetarian, and I don't like that one bit. And my final negative, which is the biggest negative for me, is the ending. Now look, I'm not going to spoil this movie for you. You can watch it on Netflix, knock yourself out. I personally did not like the ending. The way the movie was going, with the way the ending happened, it just made no sense to me. I just, in no way, in any part of the beginning, middle, or end of the film, did they really hint at that type of ending happening. It just kind of made no sense to me. I think it kind of ruined my viewing experience, to be honest, even though my viewing experience from the start wasn't that great, to be honest. But I just wish that they had a better ending. That's just me. Overall, guys, look, Roped is not the worst movie I've ever seen. It's a pretty good watch, so I'm gonna give it a D. Look, the reason why, it's not a bad watch, however, it clearly takes a lot from Footloose. This is essentially Footloose. I don't like how there's not really necessarily a bad guy here. Like, again, I still don't know what I'm supposed to, you know, not like in this movie. And of course the ending was just not for me. It just didn't work. If the ending was a little bit better, a little more cleaned up, then I probably would have raised it a little bit, but the ending kind of hurt for me. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time.